Turning to the weather now, First Alert meteorologist Aaron Moran. I have to wonder, Aaron, how unusual is it that a hurricane would remain that strong even as it hits Canada?
Well, weakening is expected as it gets closer to land, but remember, it's hanging out in the Atlantic, and now that it's moved away from Bermuda, it's not really interacting with any sort of landmass to kind of shear it off a little bit. So we still have a Category 3 hurricane right now, 125-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It's definitely picked up speed, moving to the north-northeast at 40 miles an hour, and it's about 370 miles to the south-southeast of Halifax, Nova Scotia. So here we are, midnight. We have a major Category 3 hurricane approaching the Canadian coast. It weakens very quickly once it starts to interact with land, but at this point, there's still 80-mile-per-hour winds and very heavy rain as well. So they're going to be dealing with the wind concern. They're going to be dealing with the rain and the flooding concern, the swell at the coast as well. Eventually, it takes off into the Arctic, but this is definitely going to pack a punch for the Atlantic Canada region, and it's not the only system that we're talking about. So we actually do now have Tropical Storm Hermine, but it's off of the African coast. It's expected to be short-lived. That's not what we're concerned with. We are still watching Tropical Depression 9. This will likely become Ian very soon as it continues tracking to the west. This is what a lot of the U.S. is concerned with right now. So let's take a look at the official forecast. So the next few days, we're expecting this storm to track to the west, and it begins to move to the north as it strengthens to a Category 1 hurricane by early Monday morning. Now we're expecting it to move over Cuba. Then it's into the warm Gulf waters at this point. The Keys are being impacted. This is early Tuesday afternoon. We will likely see some very quick strengthening, forecast to be a Category 3 hurricane as it impacts the Florida coast getting towards late next week. However, you notice the cone of uncertainty, all of this red area. We're going to see this storm wobble back and forth a little bit, but the models have been coming into agreement of really impacting Florida. Here's why. When we talk about the upper level atmosphere and how this impacts our forecast, you've been hearing us all week talk about high pressure and control. And it's not just us, it's the central, the southern U.S. Now, that high pressure is going to begin to shift off to the west. And you notice this little digging up to the north. So we call this a trough. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to begin to pull what is Tropical Depression 9 right now, what will likely become Hurricane Ian. It's going to start to pull it up to the north. And you see, as it continues to dig, this trough continues to dig, it pulls the system up to the north, eventually shifts it off to the east. So we'll be watching that closely. It is definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, with our forecast this weekend, we have the mid and upper 90s, but then we've got that cold front expected to move through. We took the rain out of the forecast on Sunday, so all you're going to notice is our winds shifting to the north and then the weather becoming more tolerable for being outside next week. We're talking about upper 80s, even by the end of the week, mid 80s. And Karen, just for you, 59.
You're so sweet to me. Thank you, Aaron.